Good morning, good morning, good morning. I am back with another live show. I told you guys I was going to be back. Well, the good news is, there's always a good news regardless of what's going on around you, right? You always have to find the good news. So, the good news here is the home internet is back. My home internet is back on. Shout out to God. Shout out to Xfinity. Shout out to everybody that worked to make it possible. I am grateful. And all right. So we are back. We're back with no laggy live shows. Aren't you happy about that? I am. I am happy about that. All right. All right. All right. It is currently 2:25 a.m. Today's date is the 14th of October 2024. How are you doing? I went to bed around say 4 or 5 p.m. and I got up around 1:30. And then I made spicy noodles for myself and I have a drink here for me to like an orange juice for me to wash that down with. All right, time for the polls. Time for the polls, guys. All right. Okay, so the title of today's live show is Pray for America. Why do I say pray for America? Well, as some of you have heard or seen, there was yet another attempt, which makes it the third attempt. So when I say pray for America, I mean pray for love within our heart. Pray for peace. Pray for calmness. Um, because this is our home. This is where our family is. This is where our job is. This is where our business is. So we need to pray for our home. We need to pray for peace. We need to pray for, protection. We need to pray for love in everybody's heart and for unity. Okay, we need to pray for unity. And that's something that I just wanted to share with you guys that, if anywhere you are watching New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, wherever you are in the United States, across the nation, watching the live stream, I just want to say take a moment to pray for America, okay? Pray for America because we love this nation dearly. We cherish this nation dearly, and this is the greatest nation in the world. And we're just grateful to be here. I am grateful to be here. I am grateful to have my family here. God is good. God is good, guys. All right. So today we're going to start the live stream with the former president, the 45th. Some people say he might be the 47th. He held a rally in Arizona today. He held a rally in Arizona. And we're going to take a look at that one and then we're going to talk about it. And after that one, we're going to see something else. But first of all, let's see let's hear what he has to say and let's see how the rally went. Okay. Up tap your screen, subscribe to the channel. You guys are the best. Welcome to the live show one more time. You know what time it is. let's get straight to business.
Well, thank you very much. And a very big hello, Arizona. We love you, Arizona. Thank you. I'm thrilled to be back in this beautiful state with thousands of proud, hardworking American patriots. That's you. You are hardworking and you are patriots. Early voting by mail. We're finally there. Take back our country. Early voting by mail and in person opened in Arizona earlier this week. So if you have a ballot, return it immediately. And if not, go vote. Get your you-know-what app and vote. The minute the polls open tomorrow, you'll be there. And get everyone you know, because we want to take back our country. We're going to take back our country. And with your help, 23 days from now, can you believe it? We're going to win Arizona, and we are going to defeat Kamala. Shouldn't be running. She shouldn't even be running. She didn't get any votes. Say what you want about Biden. I'm not a fan of Biden. I'm no fan. Nobody's a fan of Biden. But you know what? He got 14 million votes. She got none. I'm the only one that has to beat two people, not one. You know, everyone else. Historically, in history, you've got to beat one, I got to beat two. They never make it easy for us, but she's going to be easy. I have a feeling that he would have been tougher than her. But we're going to usher in a new golden age of American success for the citizens of every race, religion, color, and creed. What Kamala and her radical left cronies have done to the state of Arizona is a crime that can never be forgiven. What they've done to us and what they've done to us on the border can never be forgiven. For 4 straight years, she's imported an army of illegal alien gang members and migrant criminals from the dungeons all over the world. Not South America, all over the world they come. From prisons and jails, insane asylums, mental institutions, from Venezuela, from the Congo, all over. And she's resettled them into your communities to prey upon innocent American people. If Kamala gets 4 more years, the entire country will be turned into a migrant camp, and that's what's happening. Millions and millions of people. When I win on November 5th, the migrant invasion ends and the restoration of our country begins. One of the deadliest and most vicious migrant gangs that Kamala has imported into our country is the savage Venezuelan prison gang known as Tren de Aragua. It's a vicious gang. Well, we have them all. We have them all. They're all represented now. MS-13, vicious. They're all vicious. We'll have a contest. Who's the most vicious? We'll figure it out. Because they're all in our country now. People we never had in our country like this. Remember when she went around saying, no, the migrants that come in are very nice people. No, they're not nice people. No, we're not getting the nice ones. We're getting people that levels of crime and violence and viciousness like you've never seen before. They make our criminals look like nice people. They look like nice people. These people know it better than anybody. Border Patrol. Border Patrol. They're the greatest people. The best people. And they want to do their job. They don't want to be held back. They want to do their job. They'll do it. They'll end it immediately. All we have to say is, do it, right? Do it. One call. Do it. You know, I listened to her saying all the time, we couldn't get a bill passed. I never had a bill. You know what I did? I called them up. I said, close the border. There was no bill. Did I have a bill? I never had a bill. Right? I said, close the border, and the border was closed. And then we had the best numbers in the history of our country at the border. And that included, by the way, drugs, and it included traffickers, women, mostly they deal in women. Let me see the chart, my all-time favorite chart, by the way. See if you can drop it down. I didn't tell him I was going to. See, that location would not have worked. You understand that? I would have turned too far. When it was over there, it was perfect. But you see the arrow on the bottom? That's the day I left office. That was the lowest number we ever had in the recorded history of our country. So, yeah, you'll sit down. Sit down. See, I got him to sit down, right? I could see this handsome guy. He's going crazy. Well, they're front row Joes, you know. We got to be careful with those front row Joes. But no, that's the best number that we've had. And look what happened afterwards. It was like an explosion, like a rocket, like Elon's rocket. Did you see the way that sucker landed today? What was that? I looked at it and said, oh, that's too bad. Oh, that's too bad. It's coming down so fast. I said, oh, because he's our friend. We want our friends to be successful, and he's really been our friend, right? So Elon's rocket's coming down. And I saw where the engines came down. That was the first. A couple of years ago, I saw engines come down. I said, that was great. I said, why do you do that? He said, engines are very expensive. We can save them with certain formulas. He's given me these formulas. I'm saying, forget it. You don't have to be that specific. And now the whole thing landed. I never saw anything like it. And it's been through a lot. You know, you look at it. It was a beautiful, white, shiny thing. Now it's burned to a crisp, but they landed. It needs only a new paint job. That's a lot cheaper than building a new one, right? But that was coming down. I looked at it this morning. I said, look at that. Oh, no. That's terrible because it was coming down so fast, and all of a sudden, boom. And it's like got this much on his side. We're going to have to get Elon to explain that, but another time. First, we have to get elected, right? Okay? But he's on our side. He's on our side. You know where he is today? He's in Pennsylvania campaigning for us. Not me, for us. Can you believe it? And he's a great guy. He endorsed us. That was a great endorsement. We had Bobby Kennedy. We have so many great endorsements. Tulsi, great. Tulsi Gabbard. We have so many endorsements. We have endorsements. I could stand here and read them all night long. You know, we had endorsements, the 300 biggest people, plus biggest people in the administration, national security people. Robert O'Brien is the one that I think really led the charge. Robert's around here someplace. But he had 300 plus, the biggest people in government, even from other administrations. They said Trump's the greatest president, Trump's the greatest for security, which is true. Which is true. And I said, this is a big story. Wow, this is a great story. I love it. And they put it out, and the fake news didn't pick it up. They don't. If we have one sleazebag against because I fired him, you know, the only ones, they always go, whenever you fire somebody, they always go against you. But one sleazebag because I fired him, they make it front page news. When I get 319 of the top people in the country, in the world, some of these people, some names in there you wouldn't even believe. I mean, I don't want to get personal, but there were some names in there you would be surprised at, frankly, because I had my little spats. But I appreciate it. No, it showed that there's a certain love of a country when they do that. I really mean it. And Robert, I want to thank you and Rick Grinnell and all the people, because that was beautiful. But when I saw that list of the best names, the biggest names in national security and security generally and law enforcement, I said, this is a big story. Well, that's great. And I looked up the next day, I looked at the newspaper. Didn't make page one. This, 2, 3, 4. It never made the newspaper. But that's the way they treat us. And we're leading in the polls. How come you're leading in the polls and you can't? How the hell does that work? How does that work? does that work? But you know why? Because the people are very smart. I found out that people are very smart. But you've been reading this because this has been a big one in Aurora, Colorado. You have a very weak governor. He's totally beside himself. He's a radical left Democrat. He used to come into the White House. He was so nice. Sir, yes, sir, you're doing a great job as president, sir. And now he says only bad. You know, that's the way it goes. It's a tough business. It's a nasty business. But in Aurora, Colorado, and communities in all 50 states, this Venezuelan gang is terrorizing law-abiding citizens, including taking over the multiple apartment complexes. And let's take a little look at them. They're not nice. You see, that's
the video
how tough they
shows
are.
a group of men walking up a stairwell at the Edgett Lowry apartment complex in Aurora. All of them appear to be carrying rifles and handguns, and the video was shot earlier this month. One of the men can be seen talking on a cell phone. They all then gather around a door and go in. Another video clip shows men forcing a door open.
This is a picture of gang members breaking into a vacant apartment so they could move a Venezuelan family in and then collect rent. This is our business plan, one gang member told a housekeeper. If he, the property manager, doesn't like it, we'll fill him with bullets.
Police in the region say a Venezuelan gang known as Tren de Aragua has victimized thousands through extortion, drug and human trafficking, kidnapping, and murder. Alvaro Bosa, a former Venezuelan police officer now living in Florida, says he fled his country in large part because the gang had become so powerful they could kill law enforcement like him with impunity. Bosa says a fellow police officer who refused to cooperate with the gang was shot 50 times. Now, U.S. law enforcement, including Customs and Border Protection and the FBI, say the gang has made their way into the country.
They have followed the migration paths across South America to other countries and have set up criminal groups throughout South America as they follow those paths.
We tried reaching out to the resources, but they told us since it wasn't actually condemned building, we would have to wait until that was the issue, but we didn't want to wait for that.
We went out to some of Chicago's most violent neighborhoods to meet with current and former gang members who tell us that TDA first showed up when the city opened up migrant shelters in these areas, and that now the Venezuelans are trying to move in.
The city nonprofits have lined up to help the migrants that have come here, but nobody is helping the American citizens, the residents that are trapped.
They told us that they really couldn't do anything unless something happened. It is not by any means an isolated occurrence, unfortunately. I called 911, no help comes from me. No help. We were on our own and we were left to die.
As far as local law enforcement, I believe at this point that this is far beyond any one local law enforcement agency taking this on, and we need our state and federal partners to step in at this point.
Is this something that you need to take more seriously?
Nice fellas. No, they're in the real estate business. They take over apartments. I do too. I use financing. They use guns. Big guns, like better than our military has. Where do they get those guns? So we're now known all throughout the world as an occupied country. Can you believe it? They said, one of the papers said on another country that we are an occupied country. And you know what? They're not that wrong. But these gentlemen will unoccupy us very quickly. It's really no different than if we had a war and lost a war. But to everyone here in Arizona and all across the land, I make this pledge. November 5th, 2024 will be Liberation Day in America. It's going to be Liberation Day. It's going to happen so fast. Thank you very much. And under Kamala Harris, 13,099 illegal alien convicted murderers are roaming free in the United States, and 425,000 convicted migrant criminals are right now in the United States. But of them, think of this, of them, Of them, 13,099 are murderers, some of many murders, some scheduled for the life they were going to die very shortly. And they said, let's just give them to the United States. What the hell do we have to do the death sentence for? And they're in our country right now. And these are very tough, very dangerous people. They were there for a reason. But think of it, many of them committed more than one murder, and we have them now because we're stupid. We have stupid leaders, and we're getting rid of these stupid leaders. We can't have another 4 years where we have stupid, incompetent leaders. So I will rescue Arizona and every town across America that has been invaded and conquered. They've been conquered. They're conquering the towns. And you know, our governors and our mayors, and you know, a lot of people can't blame them. I can't blame them. They don't want to bring it up. 2 reasons. Number one, they are scared. They're very scared. Some of them are very scared. The governor of Colorado is scared. Radical left Democrat. If he was a Republican, I wouldn't say that. Even if he was scared, I wouldn't say. No, but he's got a right to be, in all fairness. But you know where they are? All the towns across America, they fly them in now. They fly them in beautiful big Boeing planes. They fly them in. They land in the Midwest. They land all over the place. So it's not just here. They fly them right over the top of the border. They tried to get away with one. 3 months ago, they were getting killed in the polls. So Kamala, I don't use the name Harris because nobody knows who Harris is. I say Harris. Everyone said, who the hell is Harris? I don't know what it is with that name, but it doesn't catch on. Can you believe Kamala catches on better than Harris? Who would believe this? But Kamala was flying them in, and she didn't want to tell anybody. She wanted to keep it secret, but we saw planes all over the place. They're flying them in by the hundreds of thousands, and they don't have to report that. They don't have to report it. These people are sick, and we're going to stop, and we'll put these vicious and bloodthirsty, and that's what they are. They're bloodthirsty criminals. We'll put them in jail. We will get them out of our country. We'll get them out fast. In Texas last year, an illegal alien released into the United States by Kamala was charged for sexually assaulting, strangling, and murdering a 12-year-old girl. You read that one. That was one of many. There's so many now. Before stuffing her body in a trash bag and leaving it under her bed for her mother to find. Can you believe this? Under her bed for her mother to find. Last September, these are animals. Last September, an illegal alien criminal with 9 prior deportations and many prior arrests shot and killed a man in his pickup truck before repeatedly firing at police officers and leading them on a car chase during which he shot and wounded an officer and very, very seriously wounded other people in the chase. And he was wearing a bulletproof vest. Isn't that nice? He had a bulletproof vest. And in Chicago this year, a Venezuelan illegal alien gang member who was set loose into the United States by the horrible non-border protection. It's a non-border. They'd let anybody come in that wanted to come in. I built hundreds of miles of wall. I then, by the way, built more than I ever promised, but it was working so well. That's why we had the good numbers. And then I was going to add 200 miles more. Then we had a rather strange election, didn't we? We're not going to let that happen again. Not going to let that happen again. Remember, we did great in 2016. We did much better in 2020. Millions of more votes. But led in by these ridiculous non-policies. They had no policy. And what I said to the Border Patrol is right just a minute ago. All the president has to do, all she would have had to do is wake up the president at 3 or 4 in the afternoon. Say, Joe, get your ass down to the Oval Office and sign this. Well, if he'd signed what he signed for them, you know, think of it, you know. How did that happen, that whole thing? But you know what? When the president signs an order to close, he doesn't need bills. You know, they made up this fictitious bill. That's the bill that was so bad, so pathetic, that it would have allowed millions of people to become citizens right away. It was a horrible bill. But I'm fine with the bill. But you don't need a bill. All you have to do is you need a president. You know, my father used to tell me, these guys that need letters, they'll come into my office, son, and they'll say, sir, thank you for the job. And, sir, could I have a letter saying that you've promoted me? Those guys never worked out because they need a letter. It was the ones that walked in and said, I'm the boss now, you're gonna listen to me. They didn't need a letter. He always would say, anytime they wanted a letter of authorization, they never worked out. She didn't need anything. She didn't need a bill. All she had to do is have Biden call up the president, only the president, and say, close up the border. And instead, we're paying a big price. You know, people have been talking about, they always rank the different things, and they rank, and I think the polls are wrong about a lot of things, although I don't want to say that now because we're leading, so let's leave them. They're only wrong when they give me a bad one. But we are doing great in the polls. We've done really great in the polls. But I think that the number one issue they have down is the economy and inflation, and I agree, they're horrible issues. But I think the number one issue is the destruction of our country, what's happened at the border. I really think that's actually the number one issue. And I don't care what a poll says, and it's close anyway, but I don't care what a poll says. It's the destruction of a country. What were they thinking? Who wants to have this? Who would allow this to happen where we have murderers, drug dealers, people from mental institutions and insane asylums? Who would allow this to happen to our country? This thug, led in by Kamala Harris, was arrested for shooting a 27-year-old woman multiple times, leaving her riddled body all full of bullet holes behind. And I cannot believe how they allowed this to happen to our country. It's happening at levels that I could recite crimes all day, all night for weeks. And this is just the beginning, because this is a new phenomenon. And I told you about this phenomenon. It's called migrant crime. It's a new category of crime, and it's probably the most vicious crime of all, because despite the fact that she said, oh, these are lovely people, they don't commit crimes. No, these are among the worst criminals anywhere in the world, and they come from all over. A huge number is coming out of jails in the Congo, because what's happening is countries and continents, but countries are releasing their prison populations into our country. And you know what? If I headed up any one of the countries we're talking about, I would have done the same thing. I would have done it even faster. Because who the hell can blame them? Who can blame them? In Venezuela, their crime is down 72% because they've taken the street criminals, they've taken the drug dealers and the drug lords, they've taken all of these people and they've busted them into the United States, and their crime is down now 72%, and it'll go still further because they haven't gotten them all out. But they're coming, and they've taken their prisons, and their prisons are way down, lowest number they've had in many, many decades, because they've moved all of their prisoners, and these are hardened people. They know better than anybody who they are. They know who they are without knowing who they are. And I will tell you something, what they've done to our country, they've emptied out their jails and prisons of the toughest people anywhere in the world, and they've dumped them into our country. And we're not going to take it. We're not going to take it. We're going to get rid of these people that allowed this to happen. We're going to get rid of Kamala and Joe. My message to the American people is very simple. No person who has inflicted the violence and terror that so-called border czar, she doesn't want that name anymore. She said, I'm not the border czar. Well, she was, but it doesn't matter if you call her border czar. She was in charge of the border, so call her whatever you want. She doesn't know anything. She can't answer the simplest question. She goes on these shows and they're softball after softball and ends up in a scandal every time she opens her mouth. You know, we had 4 years of that. We had 4 years of that. And you know, in his case, he developed. She was born that way. And it's violence and terror that Border Czar Harris has unleashed on our country can never be allowed to become the president of the United States. Our country can't tackle it. Anyone who would import criminal gangs to occupy America cannot ask to be president. Anyone who orchestrated an invasion of America cannot lead America. Kamala Harris's reign of terror ends the day I take the oath of office. to expedite removal of Tren de Aragua. I have good luck with that name. Some people can't do it. They said, sir, why don't we just, they say TDR. I say, no, that doesn't sound too good. That sounds like a drugstore. I don't want to do that, of course. Nowadays, if you look at our drugstores, they do pretty good there. Do you see the drugstores? You can't get anything in certain places. You can't, most places. They have to put up glass in front because everything's taken. They walk out, they just take it. Do you know, she's the one that passed a law in San Francisco, destroyed, where if you steal $950 or less, you're not going to be prosecuted. Can you believe it? I don't think that Carrie Lake agrees with that particular law. You're not into that, are you? I think she's a tough one. This is what you need. I hate to say it. She's tough as hell. This is what you need. You need it. I watched her debate. I haven't even spoken to her. So I watched your debate, though, at about 3 o'clock in the morning. I watched that debate. It's, you know, the TiVo or its equivalent. I give it the greatest invention in history, TiVo or its equivalent. I watched your debate due to that kind of thing that we can do nowadays. You destroyed that poor guy. Man. You know, they have an expression, if that were a fight, they would have stopped it. But that was a destruction. But I don't know how many people, you got to make that into a movie or something. Anybody that sees that would never vote for this guy's a total lightweight. And this woman has given up a lot. She had great success, everything she did. You got to get her in. You got to get her. True. To expedite removal of the Tren de Aragua and other savage gangs, I will invoke the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. Can you imagine? Those were the old days when they had tough politicians. I have to go back that long. Think of that, 1798. Oh, it's a powerful act. You couldn't pass something like that today. Today we're politically correct. Today people kill and they end up getting out on bail in 2 minutes. No, this is a little different act. The Aliens Enemy Act, 1798, to target and dismantle every migrant criminal network operating on American soil. 100%. And in honor of the great people of Aurora, Colorado, we will call this Operation Aurora, because they were the first to suffer with this group of thugs. And if they come back into our country after removal, it's an automatic 10 years in jail with no possibility of parole. No possibility. Not that we want to do it. But by the way, not that we want to do it. We all have big hearts, but you know, it's not sustainable. We're not going to have a country. It's not sustainable. You see what's going on with the cities? New York has a $3 billion bill. I always heard New York is low on funds. A $3 billion bill, and the federal government's not going to pick it up. And I'm hereby calling for the death penalty for any migrant that kills an American citizen or a law enforcement officer. Thank you. They kill an American citizen or a law enforcement officer. And if you ever wanted to stop drugs as opposed to blue ribbon, I set up so many blue ribbon committees. You know, our First Lady did a fantastic job on this. She headed up a commission. And she got the number. And by the way, she wrote a great book. Go buy it. It's called Melania. And she says very nice things about me. I was worried. I wouldn't have. If she didn't, I wouldn't be talking about that book at all. I'd pretend it never happened. No, she's great. And she wrote a great book. I think it's the #1 bestseller now. Can you believe it? So go buy it. Melania. Go buy it. But Kamala's actions as the border czar are especially egregious. It's a betrayal of the brave men and women who devote their lives to securing our borders. They are treated so badly, so badly. They are treated so badly. It's so horrible. They're heroes, but they're not treated like heroes. But you know, I tell them all the time, the people know you're heroes. It's the radical left lunatics that don't treat them properly. I call them the heroes of ICE and the heroes of Border Patrol. They're incredible. And these courageous patriots, they risk their lives to keep America safe and our borders secure. And then Kamala came along and demanded that they aid and abet the invasion of our country, which really is what they're told to do, which they have dedicated their lives to prevent. And they are not happy. And she only bothered, if she only just did this, all she had to do is go to the border for the first time. You know, it took her, what, 3.5 years to go there? And then she went to a place that I'd love to go for dinner sometime with you people. She never went. She didn't go to the border for the whole time. It was a great insult. And I used to call them all the time. In fact, they thought I was a pain in the ass. I'd call them, how's the border going, fellas? How's it going, Art? How's it going, Brandon? How we doing? Paul, how we doing, Paul? How's the border, Paul? They would get my call. They say, this guy, he's crazy. No, I was not crazy. I want to have a strong border. And that's why we had that beautiful chart. My favorite chart in history. I sleep with it. I kiss it. Even if that chart had bad numbers, I would have loved that chart. That was my all-time favorite. Every night I take it to bed with me. I kiss it. But today I'm honored to receive, and this was an honor that I didn't know about till very recently, the endorsement, because it's very hard for them to do this, you know? It's very hard for them to do this. But the endorsement of the official union of the Border Patrol agents, the entire union is endorsing it. It's a great honor. They said it was unanimous, thousands of people. Thank you. And they have thousands of people. They said it was unanimous. And I will say I have the endorsement of almost every single law enforcement group, sheriffs and police, the Fraternal Order, 400,000. And it's hard for them to do endorsements. You know, it's not an easy thing to do, but there comes a point when you have really no choice. I'd like to thank the former president of the National Border Patrol, a friend of mine, Council Brandon. It's an incredible council, actually. Brandon Judd, who's here someplace. Brandon. Thank you, Brandon. And I'd like to formally introduce the new president of the council, another friend. They become friends of yours. It's like you're in a war together. When I was here, when I was running things, that border was a big deal to me. We wouldn't let people in. We had a year, would be 2019, where they said zero, and I think they were wrong on this, to be honest. They said 0 terrorists came in, 0. The following year, they said 11. Now they have thousands of terrorists pouring into our country. These are stone-cold, hardened terrorists. Bad things are going to happen. We're going to get them the hell out of here before they do, I'll tell you. But the new president of the council, another great friend of mine, is Paul Perez. And he joined by a very highly respected man, Art Del Cueto. Art Del Cueto, vice president. And maybe we could ask them to come on up. We're also joined very proudly today by a large delegation of our nation's frontline border agents. These are incredible people. So let's show our appreciation for their unbelievable service to our country.
Thank you for tuning into the live show. We are currently listening to the 45th President of the United States. Some people say he might be the 47th. Total respect, man. That's all you got to give this guy right here. Total respect. Double tap your screen, subscribe to the channel. Let's get it.
America, I have a message for you. If we allow Border Czar Harris to win this election, every city, every community in this great country is going to go to hell. The untold millions of people, unvetted, who she has allowed into this country that are committing murders, rapes, robberies, burglaries, and every other crime will continue to put our country in peril. Only one man can fix that. That is Donald J. Trump. He has always stood with the men and women who protect this border, who put their lives on the line for the country. A man who knows about putting his life on the line for what is right. This November, we have a choice to make. Continue the chaos, allow the criminal cartels to control the border, to allow drugs and fentanyl across our country, or put an end to it once and for all. On behalf of the 16,000 men and women represented by the National Border Patrol Council, we strongly support and endorse Donald J. Trump for President of the United States.
Good job. I gotta tell you, I was a little worried. He got up, he had no notes. He didn't have a teleprompter. I can understand that. I don't use it too much either. And it is nice to have people that don't need teleprompters, isn't it? But he got up here, and he had no notes, and you gave a perfect deal. I think we're gonna all have to go back inside. That was a good job. Did he do a good job? Look at all these Border Patrol and ICE. They're great heroes. And I want to let you know, Paul, I want to just tell you and everybody, all my friends, I have so many of them in this group. It's an incredible group of people. I will always stand with the incredible men and women of Border Patrol. And today I'm announcing a plan to address the shortage. You know, we have a tremendous shortage because they haven't been treated right. They want to do their jobs. You know, they consider it bad treatment when you're not allowed to do your job, and that's the biggest problem. They don't want people running in front of them. They want to stop them from coming in, and that's going to save a lot of people, including the people they're stopping. But to address the shortage of Border Patrol agents caused by the catastrophic failures of Kamala, our great border czar, who's the worst in history, we have a tremendous morale crisis because of her and her policies. I mean, think of it. Not one of the leaders, you have all the leaders up here, you have all the leaders in the room, you have Brandon right over there, was a leader for a long time, brilliantly the leader, never got a call from them. Not Biden, he was sleeping, and not her. No, not her, she never called. Never once. I saw this, I didn't ask them. I saw this, and a reporter asked, Paul, have you ever been called? No, I haven't. How can you do that? Most important thing, it's the fabric and lifeblood of our country, and they're destroying our country.